So research is a very important part of learning. So what kind of opportunities does St. Thomas offer to international students?
You can't learn to do science and engineering if you don't have your hands on doing it, which means every class from every faculty member in any of the STEM fields has built into it hands-on learning.
And I'll add, one of the benefits of working and studying at an undergraduate focused institution is that the research is then focused on the undergraduate students, giving them that experience to do the research, working hand in hand with a faculty member as opposed to maybe PhD students and that sort of thing.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of our Thoughtcast. And joining us today are two incredible guests from the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. Dr. Tim Lewis and Ms. Laurie Friedman. So before we dive into our conversation, I'd love our audience to get to know you a little. So Dr. Lewis, can you please tell us something about you and your journey, and Laurie, you as well?
I'd be happy to. So I'm a professor of biology and wildlife ecology. My career has been about studying animals in nature in different places around the world. Then an opportunity opened at the University of St. Thomas to lead their global area, the global initiatives where we send students abroad and where we bring students in. And I was asked to take that job. So I set aside my college professor role and now work exclusively on international programs in the kinds of ways to make the university relevant in today's world. So that broad area is what I'm responsible for now.
That is so cool.
And my career has been dedicated to international education, primarily bringing international students to universities and helping them throughout their journeys at the various universities that I've worked at. Now at St. Thomas, I have been there almost 14 years and absolutely love it.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm really excited to our conversation that we're going to have today. I hope it's going to be really insightful and it's going to help a lot of students. So my first question will be to you, Dr. Lewis.
Sure.
Creating a welcoming and global environment is so important today. And so how does the University of St. Thomas make sure that international students feel included and get a chance to experience a diverse culture?
Okay, in order to answer that, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself. I was a college professor in a small school in Ohio, which is in the center part of the United States. And I came and visited the University of St. Thomas because a friend invited me. I fell in love with the school in part because of its commitment to global students, its commitment to making an education that was relevant. You can't be a part of today's world and not do that. And the University of St. Thomas was putting time and money into it. So as a tenured professor, I left my job there because the University of St. Thomas took this as so important. And I've worked at the university now for 15 years, 8 of it in this global area. And we do this in a number of ways. We build into our undergraduate classes a requirement that every student has to take a class in global perspectives and another one's in human and social justice. So that built into the curriculum is this global perspective and the importance of people from around the world and the economies of around the world. In addition to that, faculty, there's a high priority in hiring faculty. So when we bring in new faculty, I meet with all the new faculty during new faculty orientation. I remind them that we have students from around the world and that even our students from Minnesota need this global perspective or they're not going to be relevant in today's world. So we train our faculty that way. We even have a faculty position committed as the liaison for international with the faculty. So they train faculty on how to work with students from different cultures and how to bring more cultures into their classes. So the commitment goes across the board. We have some schools, like our College of Business, that pretty much requires students to get international experiences, or our College of Engineering, where the students are working on global projects, both at St. Thomas and abroad. So we're committed to doing this in all parts of the curriculum and in all parts of student life.
Right, and since it's coming from a personal experience now, we all know that University of St. Thomas is actually a very great place for students to be. So now moving on to our next question, which is for Laurie. So strong communication skills can make big difference. Are there any workshops or programs that helps boost their confidence? like building administrative skills?
Yes, we have many. What's interesting is the very first semester are all students, so domestic and international students are enrolled in the first year experience class. They get numerous opportunities to build those skills along with many of the other classes that they're taking, which really focuses on public speaking, participating in class discussion, building their confidence both with the English language, but also in the community and in the class with faculty, and having that direct communication with faculty. And so that is very instrumental in helping them build confidence. We also have a Center for Student Achievement, which coordinates and organizes workshops throughout the first semester and beyond to get students to build those confidence and skills, as well as our Career Center. So when you think about building confidence, it's not just in the classroom, but it's also in the world and with companies and employers. There's mock interviewing, there's tons of career skill building and opportunities that our Career Center does, which is really, really great because then that in turn impacts their classes, but also their future jobs.
Right, it's so great to hear that University of St. Thomas has so much to offer to students, and having a supportive faculty is actually very important. So now moving to our next question, which is for Dr. Lewis, and it's a very straightforward question actually. So research is a very important part of learning. So what kind of opportunities does St. Thomas offer to international students?
So I mentioned I switched from another school to St. Thomas. I thought that school did research really well. You can't learn to do science and engineering if you don't have your hands on doing it, which means every class from every faculty member in any of the STEM fields has built into it hands-on learning. You can't learn to cook if you don't cook. You can't learn to drive if you don't get behind a car. You can't do science without doing science. So every class we teach has laboratories associated with it. I'm a field biologist. Mine were courses out in the field, often in other parts of the United States. And we not only make that essential to the curriculum, but we build money into the budgets for each department so that students can work on research projects. So this isn't just, oh, here, do something that you can figure out how to do for free on the internet. In my case, doing wildlife research, we were using state-of-the-art equipment, putting transmitters on turtles, tracking them as they moved often tens of kilometers to see where they went, and then students having money to be able to go to professional research conferences and present the results. We had more publications in the biology department than any other school in the state of Minnesota for undergraduates. And so it's built in. You can't do science without learning it hands-on. It is built into everything we do. It's built into the fabric. You walk through our buildings and you will see science happening in every room.
And I'll add, one of the benefits of working and studying at an undergraduate focused institution is that the research is then focused on the undergraduate students, giving them that experience to do the research, working hand in hand with a faculty member as opposed to maybe PhD students and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that because that's really important. Having done an undergraduate degree and graduate degrees, if you're at a big research institution, the star of the show is the graduate students, not the undergraduate. You're there to pay the bills. A school that's devoted to undergraduates focuses on the undergraduates and gives them experiences. When my students would be presenting at conferences, other faculty would come up and say, is this a master's or a PhD program? And they'd say, this is my undergraduate. And people couldn't believe it. But that's the kind of experiences, because we take state-of-the-art equipment, state-of-the-art opportunities, and it goes to the undergraduates so they get the experience. We do the same thing in other areas. In business, we take students out into the field to work with the businesses that we have in the area so that you're getting the real world experience. And to the faculty member, you're the whole reason they're there. They don't have some group of graduate students that they're focused on.
Right, that's actually very amazing because whatever you said, mostly we see those things happening in like post-grad
Right, exactly.
degrees and all sort of things. So it's actually very interesting to hear like whatever you mentioned and all this sort of hands-on experience things that you mentioned, that you put transmitters on the turtles and everything.
Yeah.
Sounds so interesting.
And,
right?
and I'll go a step further. You build a community when you do that. So my research students, I would have a team of anywhere 5 to 10 students. We would meet every week. We would be out on weekends and over the summer doing research. And students would work with me for several years in a row. It's a lot like a graduate program. And oftentimes they're getting paid to do the research, earning their student campus job as part of that research, so that by the time they graduate, they've done as much research as a lot of students do in their graduate program.
So I have a follow-up question to that. Since we all know networking is a very big part of your educational journey, so how does the university helps in that? Like we all know it's very important.
Sure. So I think we're both going to answer on this one. We're both going to jump in on this one. In the STEM areas, you're doing work with research, not just like in my case on the university, but we're connecting with state and federal agencies that are doing that work. So my students would get summer job placements with the U.S. Forest Service or the Department of Natural Resources. They're out there doing the real jobs, even at the undergraduate level. We do that in our College of Business. We do that in engineering. The university's focus is getting students beyond the classroom to get that real world experience.
And as far as working for international students in general, I would say that on-campus employment is a huge benefit for international students. Whether you're working at the front desk of an office, whether you're doing research, whether you're working in dining, anywhere, you're getting transferable skills and invaluable experiences, which they then bring to the internships that they're working in the community.
Right.
And so over 80% of our students have internships throughout their degree.
And thank you so much for sharing these insights, because actually it's a very big concern for international students of finding a part-time job while continuing their studies. So thank you so much for that. And now moving on to our next question. What advice would you give to international students at St. Thomas to help them make the most of their time there and take advantage of all the resources for their personal as well as career growth?
So more than half the time I've been at the University of St. Thomas, I've been a faculty advisor to students, including international students. So I give this advice a lot. The first thing I tell our international students every semester when a new group comes in is to remember it's their university. They're not guests at our university. It is their school. It is their opportunity to learn. And this is the best chance you have in your entire life to learn different things, not just in the classroom. So it's important to do well in the classroom, but why be in one of the most beautiful parts of the world and not get out and see it? Why be in a city with 17 Fortune 500 companies? That's the highest per capita in the US or in the world? In the US. So you have incredible opportunities. You can't just stay on campus. So we have easy access to the rest of the community there, including natural areas so beautiful you couldn't imagine them. Hundreds of kilometers of forest nonstop with lakes. You have to get out, embrace the area. It's a lot more than just being at campus. We're in a fantastic metropolitan area with opportunities. All the major sports are there. There's theater, there's world-class art museums. You can't come to that area and then just stay on campus. So the most important advice I give is take advantage, always, wherever you go, take advantage of the location where you are. In this place, you have corporate opportunities, you have science opportunities, you have fantastic facilities, you have one of the prettiest, most livable areas in the world. Get out and be a part of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Get out of your comfort zone, explore, and that's how you learn. Actually.
Absolutely. And you'll learn more doing that. I hate to say it as a person who teaches, you'll learn more doing that than you will sitting in the classroom.
And that's actually true, right? Yeah. So Laurie, do you want to add something to that?
I'll add that I think building connections is one of the most important things also. For international students, building connections on campus and in the community. You never know where those connections will go.
Right.
It could lead to a job. It could lead to who knows. And so take advantage of those opportunities, whether it's through an on-campus job, whether it's through your roommates, a resident advisor, whichever. Take advantage.
Yeah, I can follow up on that. That personal connection, right? So whether it's you get to know Lori Friedman or one of her staff, or you get to know a faculty member or somebody who works in student affairs, it doesn't matter. Those personal connections and those friendships that you make with people who work at the university, we're all there because we love students. That's the kind of place we've chosen to be at. So you make those connections. Some of them are going to be, why don't you come to my house for dinner? Some of them are going to be, I heard about this opportunity. Why don't you come to it? Those connections go way beyond. So you're not on your own having to guess where to go. We have people on campus who's just not just their job, but the way they approach life is to help students get from where they are to where they could be and take advantage of those personal connections.
Totally agree, and it's actually thank you so much for giving such a it's a very great advice. Like, go out, meet people, make connections, and it will lead you to places. That's actually a very great advice. So now my next question will be to you, Dr. Lewis. Since AI is taking over the world along, so how does St. Thomas adapt to the AI culture for the coming intakes?
This is probably one of every other conversation I have on campus right now. In addition to my current role in global and international, I also run our libraries. And our libraries are focusing on artificial intelligence. This has everyone's attention. The university president, our provost has committed a third of his time to looking at how artificial intelligence is changing. He's an engineer by training, how it's going to change not just what we do on a campus, but for people's careers. You're not going to hide from it. You're going to use it in every single career as another tool that's available. We have a group, it's called Stellar, which is a committed group of technology people who are focusing, have been for a year, on how we integrate it on campus. Again, not just so our systems run well, but so our systems our students become trained on it and use it well as a tool and not abuse it as a tool. We've created already an academic certificate program in artificial intelligence because we think this is a really important educational add-on to any major. You better start paying attention to artificial intelligence, and we're developing majors in it. Right now, our software technology, what are they called?
Graduate programs in software.
Yeah, our graduate programs in software is working with students creating its own forms of artificial intelligence. We have something called a Tommy bot that now we use on campus that's being trialed. Laura, you should speak about that and how it's being used with international students. So this is a campus commitment to stay ahead of the curve here because artificial intelligence isn't going to go away, and it's an incredibly resourceful tool, set of tools. But I want Laura to comment about our use of artificial intelligence with international students.
Yeah, we've been working with the libraries and also our software department to develop more of a Tommy bot specifically for international students at the admission stage. So many prospective international students have a lot of questions. They go to email, which is a bit ancient at this point, and they want questions answered immediately. And so we're working to develop a Tommy bot and use it for international. So if they have questions on English proficiency, what's the status of my application? How do I log into my application portal? They don't need to wait until the next day to get an answer or a couple days later. They can get that immediately from a Tommy bot. So we're working to develop that and pilot it with the international student community. And I'll add that our master's program in AI is growing in popularity as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a very interesting follow-up question to that. So since you deal with a lot of SOPs and LORs on a daily basis of international students, so how do you differentiate, since students use AI, in their day-to-day lives and to take help from it? So how do you differentiate from a well-written SOP?
Yeah.
Maybe I can say a good SOP or a not so good SOP.
So there are tools to guess if AI was used, right, in certain statements of purpose, letters of recommendation, things like that. And so sometimes we'll use that to cross-check. Ultimately, if students are using AI, though, for these purposes, it doesn't necessarily help their future career, right? Or their admissibility into a U.S. institution or how they're going to perform in their classes. At St. Thomas, those documents are optional. We don't rely on those for admissions. We are looking at test scores and we're looking at for grades and GPA. And so if a student wants to, then they can put in the effort and do something if it maybe would explain something. Because at St. Thomas, we do admission and at the same time we grant scholarships. The scholarship is granted based on merit, so it's based on their grades. So if they really want to do a statement of purpose or letter of recommendation, they can, but we're not asking for it.
Right.
And as a teacher who's evaluated writing for hundreds of years, because I'm very old, we've always had artificial intelligence. We just called it my roommate or my mother, or we called it something else. Somebody always was available to write your essay for you. And now you have artificial intelligence. What you look for in that writing is something that's genuinely personal from that student that shows they wrote it, not some cousin who could write well but doesn't know them, or some artificial intelligence that didn't know what to pull on. So you can look, if you write and you write so generically that it could have been done by artificial intelligence, you need to work on your writing. You need to include those personal elements. It's why I started my story with my journey, right?
Right, exactly.
Because I'm not a robot. I am a real person with a real life and real experiences. You bring that into the essay, you bring that into the writing in the classroom, and no artificial intelligence can fake that.
Right.
That's what you look for, so it really doesn't change the game that much.
And I think this discussion will give a lot of students heads up to be authentic with their SOPs.
Authentic is the word I should have used.
Absolutely.
It is perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So Laurie, let's talk about scholarships. This is something every student looks forward to. So what are the financial aids or scholarship opportunities St. Thomas provides to international students?
Absolutely. We have really great scholarships for international students. We, one of the benefits of applying to St. Thomas is you actually get your scholarship decision with your admission letter. So you know right away what your scholarship will be. We offer scholarships from all the way up to 70% off of tuition, which is really, really strong. We do that based on merit, so we're looking at grades as far as the scholarship decision goes. Our average discount off tuition is around 60%. So the higher the grades, the higher the merit. Very easy to kind of guess, and we're very open and upfront with students. We also have a couple scholarships that are for business and entrepreneurship students. And those you could maybe double major. So it could be entrepreneurship and data science or computer science. It doesn't have to only be entrepreneurship. And then we have another one, business. Both bring cohorts of 10 students for the first year, and it's a 4-year term. And those are full tuition scholarships. And one of them may offer additional scholarship for housing, room and board based on financial need. Now, all of the scholarships that we provide are for all 4 years. You just maintain regular academic standing, good academic standing. But those scholarships are granted for all 4 years. And the deadline for the business scholarships are January 6th. So we want students to apply early so that they can be eligible for those scholarships. We are also, just specifically for India, we're offering an additional scholarship. And that is an additional on top of the tuition discount. It's an extra $10,000 per year for students that will go towards their tuition. So that brings their tuition down to a very, very affordable amount. So we're giving one just for India.
That is amazing, and those are some really important insights that you shared, and thank you so much for sharing it. It's gonna help a lot of students.
What I want to add is the broader institutional perspective on international students and scholarships. We don't think you can create a university that isn't international. If you don't have international students coming in and you have domestic students going out, you don't have a relevant education. The university has made it a priority for us to bring in international students, and we have specifically prioritized India because of the high quality education system, the excellent language skills, and the fact that right now, India is the rising economy that's the future. So we're prioritizing bringing students from India to the United States to our campus and giving these scholarships, also because we do private education, which is different than state-funded universities. And private education is more expensive. It's supported by student tuition and by donor gifts. That makes it more expensive for the student, but it gives us more resources to give a really high-quality undergraduate education. But in order to make it accessible, we have this pool of scholarships, large pool, as Laurie said, with averaging half off of tuition, because this is a priority for us.
Right, and it's so amazing to hear that St. Thomas is actually, there are a lot of opportunities for Indian students, and actually the people in India here are actually getting very informed, and a lot of people are thinking to, going abroad for studies, and also that's really great. That's actually very great. So now let's get to our next question. Getting the real world experience is really valued in US. So how does St. Thomas make sure, especially in STEM, to get to work on the real world problems?
So it's an interesting question. It's kind of like saying, how do you make sure somebody gets dessert? It's the most delicious part of the meal. As a scientist, the absolute best thing I get to do is science, right? So in order to do it, I need a team of people. I don't have graduate students, I only have undergraduate students. So you're asking, how do we make sure students get to do the most delightful part of the education? It happens naturally, but we do check, right? Every faculty member has research obligations with students, and we practically beg students to come into our, right? I want the good students working with me. No, you want the good students working with you. So how do we make sure it happens? We provide way more opportunities than there are students, because that faculty are eager to get students involved in STEM projects. And then we do really close one-on-one academic advising. When I was a faculty member, I would have 30 academic advisees. I would meet with each of them every semester, in addition to the times they would just walk in my office and ask questions. And during those sessions, we specifically say, what are you doing to get these real world experiences so you can be competitive when you get out? Because you know what? When those students are competitive when they get out, we look better. So we want to make sure it happens, not just because it's important to the student, but we want to be in business for another 150 years. This is the most valuable experiences we can get. We're doing it in advising. We're doing it when we run into students in the student center and we say, how's that internship coming for you? Have you started working with this company yet? We make sure it happens formally through assessment and informally, because it's the best part of the job.
Right.
And I'll add, our entrepreneurship and our engineering program are both in the top 25 in the US. And the hands-on experience they get, entrepreneurship, they're developing products to help real world and solve problems. And our senior design clinic in engineering undergraduate programs are working to solve real life problems with companies and local companies in the area.
And we just built, in addition to the science and engineering centers, plural, we had on campus, we just built a $150 million US dollars new science center, science and engineering, with state-of-the-art equipment that you can walk through and see science happening, because the classrooms are built that way and the labs are built that way. So you step on campus and you're immersed in it.
It's so lovely to hear your insights. Like, I can just tell, like, you're an awesome teacher, and just being in your class is like so much fun. So, okay. So my next question is for both of you. So, as someone involved in international education, what changes do you see coming for international students studying in the US? Are there any trends or new policies that could shape their experiences, support, and career opportunities?
So at the University of St. Thomas and within the US, I still think there's a growing interest and focus on international student recruitment. So I don't see that changing. I see focus on certain countries, India still being one of them. And that's where we're focusing as well. It's one of our top countries of growth that we're hoping. And so I still see strong commitment to international education. Minnesota is an extremely welcoming place, and we are very excited to continue that growth with international education. Within the United States and the recent elections, we're still hopeful to see what is to come in the next couple of years. I don't see huge changes, and I'm very hopeful for the lawful international students that plan to come and go through the visa process and all of that. And so we really hope to continue that international student growth.
That is actually awesome.
I would add, what drives the US economy is business, right? Businesses recognize that the biggest markets and the biggest sources of new innovation are outside the US. Businesses know they can't succeed globally if they, in fact, don't have global reach. That's going to drive our educational systems, because we want to produce students who can get those jobs. They demand students who have global experiences. You can't continue to function in this world without it. So while there'll be politics blowing back and forth, business will continue to drive these international links, making the schools place even ever higher priority on it, as the businesses place higher priority on it.
Yeah, right. And I agree, US does tops in business and entrepreneurship, like around the world. So it's actually a very great place for students who are thinking for any kind of career growth in these fields.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
It was kind of funny. I don't care if you record this. We're driving here, and you have one of your companies that we drove by is 3M. 3M, the name comes from Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. It started, and its main world headquarters is in the Twin Cities. They know they can't be a relevant industry without having businesses all over the world. I've seen several other US businesses that I go, wow, their headquarters are here in the Twin Cities where we come from. Minnesota is not the place most people think of when they think of the United States, but people who come there don't want to leave because it's beautiful, it's welcoming, and it's this hub. That's why these businesses put their international headquarters in the Twin Cities, in Minneapolis and St. Paul, because it's so livable, it's so beautiful, they can retain good employees there. So our economy isn't going to be able to function without these global ties. So as the politics ebbs and flows, businesses will continue to demand these opportunities for students.
Right, and I'm positive, like after this discussion, like after watching this podcast, a lot of students and people are now aware of Minnesota. And like as you said, it's a very beautiful place.
It's a great place to live. Minnesota really is.
It's known as the land of 10,000 lakes. There are lakes all over, trees, boating, all kinds of opportunities, fresh air, fresh water, forests, wildlife. We have moose. Those are cool animals. Go look them up. It's just an incredible place to be.
Mm-hmm. And if you like shopping, we have the Mall of America and home to the first indoor shopping mall in the U.S. So
yeah.
So like one can never get bored in Minnesota. Like, there's so much things to do. So
endless,
many things to do.
endless opportunities.
Yeah.
Whether it's sporting, outdoor
outside.
recreation, culture,
All you have
really
to do.
good food.
Bowling on campus, which is a great
So
first
lot of-
experience.
multiple
Yes.
things, a lot of things like that. Right.
And no taxes on clothes
Oh, okay.
in Minnesota. So if you go shopping at the Mall of America,
It's-
the price is what you see.
So you can like just get a bag full of clothes.
Yep. You save 10% compared to Chicago or elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's actually a very great piece of advice for students there, because a lot of students look for thrift shopping, and a lot of students look for places where they can save their money. So shopping, whether if we can go like talk about food or clothing or any kind of thing, it's very actually important.
Yeah.
And
So we do a lot of videos. We actually tell a lot of tips to students, like how you can save money while living abroad, while living in US or in other destinations and all sort of things.
And I just want to add, we have what's called a borrowing closet, where at the beginning during our orientation process, we have former international students that pass things down. So it could be things for a residence hall, it could be cooking items, or it could be winter coats and boots.
That's
And
actually
so students can come and whatever they see, they take for free. And then when they're done or they buy something extra, they pass it down. And what's also nice is that we're about 10 to 15 minutes from an international airport. So direct flights to Europe from there.
very convenient.
Very convenient. And for India, only one stop.
And the other thing I don't think students think about is cost of living.
Yeah.
They think about West Coast, they think about East Coast, they think about Texas, and they think these are the places I want to live. A dollar, or US currency, goes a lot further in Minnesota. The cost of living is a lot lower. Housing is cheaper, food is cheaper, clothing is cheaper. Those other places, the real estate is more expensive, so everything costs more. You get more for your dollar in these upper Midwest areas.
Right. So now you have given us few more reasons to study at St. Thomas.
Yes. And once you see pictures of our campus, you'll come and you'll never want to leave.
It is absolutely, when we bring people to campus, what we hear over and over, this is the prettiest campus I've seen.
And I totally agree with both of you. So studying abroad is like stepping into a whole new world. You meet a lot of new people, you explore new places, and for a lot of students, it's their first time flying out, away from their home. So what sets University of St. Thomas apart from all the other institutions in terms of making them feel at home, and all the other opportunities and aids?
Yes, so we have very close connections with international students throughout their process, from the very point that we're recruiting them all throughout graduation and alumni. We have the same team that helps and focuses on these students. So we build relationships from the very beginning. We provide airport pickup program. We meet these students at the airport with current students and bring them to our campus. We orient them, a week-long orientation program. We meet one-on-one with these students. So the value of what you get from a St. Thomas education is the classroom piece. It's the out of the classroom piece with 140 clubs. We've got career opportunities like we've mentioned, but it's also the building the relationships. What we provide is extreme personal attention for these students. Our average class size is between 15 to 20 students in a class. Those students are directly communicating with the professor. Those professors could be future references and letters of recommendation for their jobs, for building a company, for graduate school. And so the personal attention that we provide to these students is what sets us apart. Our faculty know these students' names. They know who they are. They know the quality of their work. We also, in our office, know these students, and we build relationships with these students. So when these students come to St. Thomas, they are not a number. We know them by name.
Right.
And I would say, don't take our word for it. Contact us and we'll set you up so you can talk to a current student. Ask them, did you feel supported when you came in? Did you feel like you were brought into the community? Our best advocates are our current students or our recent graduates. Talk to one of them. Talk to 5 or 10 of them. You'll see that we're not just telling you these things. This is what we've built our lives around.
So what's it like to be a student at St. Thomas? Like, can you tell us about since universities have a lot of clubs and societies to engage students and to, engage them in extracurricular things.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Students are very busy. They are learning to manage their time very quickly.
Right.
They are enrolled in around 4 classes in a semester. They sometimes have an on-campus job, which is giving them amazing skills that they'll use down the road in whatever internships or jobs they have. They are engaged in 1, 2, 3, 4 clubs. At the beginning of the year, there's a huge student activities and engagement fair outside with all the different clubs someone could join. And they sign up and they meet. What's unique about St. Thomas is every Tuesday, Thursday, for an hour, we have no classes. And that is called Convo Hour. And that's a time when many different clubs have meetings or students connect with professors or different people on campus. And so I would say our students are very, very engaged and very busy.
Talk about residential. It's a residential campus for students.
Yes, for the first 2 years of for any student at St. Thomas, they live on the residence halls on campus. And what we have that's also unique is we have living learning communities. So students can sign up to be in a living learning community, which may be focused on sustainability or the sciences or business. And what's neat about those communities is they're taking a same class and they're living in the same hall. So that gives them more opportunity to build connections and more things to talk about if you don't know how to put yourself out of your comfort zone. And so having those residence halls and living on campus is a huge benefit for international students when they get there.
And as a faculty member, we know that you don't learn just by reading, right? You learn by conversation, you learn by reteaching things. The classes are small, so you very quickly come to know your classmates.
Right.
Because if I'm teaching you, I'm breaking you into small groups, you're getting to know those groups, I'm reshuffling around in the sciences, you'll be in lab groups which are smaller than the lecture groups, so you might have 25 in the lecture group and 12 in your lab. So you're getting these small groups, you get to connect with them. You're in a lot of common classes in the STEM world. You're taking chemistry, math, biology, physics. You're taking this as a group, so you get to know those other students really well. So you right away are brought into the academic and social fabric of the university. And it doesn't matter whether you came from California or you came from India. What matters is now you're in these classes, and these are the cohort you're working with and living with. So here's in addition to the academic and the residential life and the clubs, we're a Division I school. We're the first. What that means is we have scholarships for sports. We have professional level at the collegiate level sports. We're in the finishing up a state-of-the-art basketball and hockey arena that will be brand new. We have fantastic football facilities. But the Anderson Recreation Center, which is a place for student fitness, has state-of-the-art equipment for working out, whether it's treadmills or weights, or it's different kinds of resistance machines. Those are all open to the students all of the time. So it's an academic life, it's a social life. There's the athletics going on that students can participate in. There's club sports, and there's the D1 sports that cover the 21 division sports. She knows it better than I do.
Okay, so the university life seems very vibrant and exciting there, be it sports or academics. There's something for everyone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lois and Laurie, for joining us today. And it was lovely having both of you here. And the discussion that we have was very insightful. And I'm really positive that it's going to help a lot of students. And now we all know about University of St. Thomas and how great and beautiful the Minnesota is. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's been a tremendous opportunity. The university has a goal of preparing people to help, basically for the common good, to help others. We're geared not just to helping students, but so they can then go on and help make the world a better place.
Right.
And what's great about St. Thomas is we are still accepting applications for the fall 2025 intake, and we are looking forward to reviewing your application. What's wonderful as well is that we do a rolling admission deadline, and so we will respond to your complete application within 2 weeks of filing your application. We accept Common App and directly on the St. Thomas website, so no hassle, no application fee. Just go ahead and apply with your scores and your English proficiency test score, and we'll review your application and give you a scholarship decision within 2 weeks of your application being complete. Also to note is that January 6th is the deadline for our full scholarships in entrepreneurship and business, so make sure to get on that, and we look forward to reviewing your application.
And to all our viewers, if you guys have any questions related to studying abroad or University of St. Thomas, feel free to comment down or reach out to any of your nearest AECC branch. We are here to help and happy to help. And if you guys like this episode, don't forget to give it a like and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to our channel for more such informative videos. See you all in the next episode.